the single releases, single episodes rather than box sets. Well, yeah, when we started doing box sets, we really started doing them because of the experiment of Dark Eyes, which really went well. And I think we misinterpreted the evidence and thought, that means people like box sets. And what it meant was that people liked Dark Eyes. So it's very easy to learn the wrong lessons from these things. And what we found is that because we were putting out box sets, the enormous amounts of content was coming out every month. Very difficult for people to keep up with. And so they were starting to make choices about what they would buy and what they wouldn't buy. So we thought, wouldn't it be better to give people lots of smaller, lower cost items? And I think people, even though we do still all binge TV from time to time, I think we're slightly over binging now, and we quite like the idea of having an episode a week or an episode a month or something. So yeah, we just thought we'd try that as a different model.
Well, you've heard it there from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Nick Briggs himself confirming that the individual release strategy from Big Finish is certainly a conscious one, and one that we are now seeing more and more. That clip from the podcast came a couple of months back.
10th of March, to be precise.
Yeah, there you have it. Whereas, now we've recently had the news of the 13th Doctor Adventures, which are also individual releases, priced now at $11.99 for a CD and $9.99 for download. 12 of those. So it's the same as what we used to have with Eccleston when he was first announced, but then instead that was spread across 4 box sets. It's these individual releases, 1 or 2 discs now are something we're seeing more and more at this point rather than box sets. And certainly quite a few of these originally planned as box sets, starting off with Sontarans versus Rutans kicked off this year very nicely. And I think it helped being individual releases. I don't know I do know about you, Ben, but I'm saying I don't know about you, Ben, so that you can come in with your thoughts on that.
I think Sontarans vs. Rutans really works as a monthly series because the stories were relatively standalone. You could jump in, jump off whenever you wanted to, and if you stuck with it, you'd be rewarded with in-name only.
It allowed them all to be their own event in a way as well, rather than just this is the one in the box set that you're sort of skipping over to get to the one that you really want to get to.
Well, this is the thing. Me and you we've spoke about this many times. Is that because Big Finish released so much, if releases get lost in the tidal wave, and releases don't seem to have a mark and identity as, say, like Chimes Midnight Spare Parts, where because
there's less staying power these days.
Yes, because there were fewer releases back then, there was time for these releases to sort of marinate and get a strong sense of flavor and just, be these titans of Big Finish.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Favorites.
It's hard now to go, okay, this is some of the best Big Finish, because there's just so much, and they're all of a high standard. So it's harder and harder to find these breakout releases. So having the standout sort of individual releases now, it's starting to break down, and you get releases like Paladin, what just sort of come and went, and Martha Jones box set, a big thing. Got forgotten about, much like the year Martha went on these adventures, forgotten.
Yeah, whereas for something like Sontarans versus Rutans, where that stuck around for 4 months, we were getting that. We were looking forward to the next episode. We had that wait, we had that hype. You had the news being spread out as well. We sort of took our time to get the covers as the series went on, and I think all that allowed this hype and this energy and momentum to build up across these run-up stories. The same we're seeing now with Dark Gallifrey, and I'm sure we'll see the same thing when 13th Doctor Adventures begins. It just allows for more of an impact to be made from these releases. And I think, as Nick Briggs said, it's a general viewing habit change as well when it comes to binging TV. You've had other streaming services come along, whereas when Dark Eyes dropped, it was mainly Netflix, and they were getting into that dropping everything at once strategy. We're now in the era of Amazon Prime and Disney Plus as these other titans of the streaming world, and they adopt a more, typical TV approach of one a week. And I think that certainly allows shows like The Mandalorian and or The Boys to stay in the cultural zeitgeist over time more. It allows this idea of the episode to, really flourish because people are talking about one specific episode for a week. People are theorizing about where it's going to go. Whereas when you have that binge drop, you'll have people saying, "Oh, how far have you got into it? Oh, I'm a couple of episodes ahead, actually. So, I can't say too much. Oh, I don't want to say that because I might spoil it." It limits the discussion.
Everyone's on the same page, isn't it now?
Yeah, it's certainly the better way for TV to come out, I think. And it's nice to see Big Finish taking a similar approach. It also means more individual cover art, which is never a bad thing. On the downside, it does make things a bit more expensive overall, though.
Yes.
Like the people like us who do buy everything and usually pre-order a lot in advance, it does mean the price is ticking up a bit.
And I think also if you're like me, who is a person who likes to have the physical product, space is already an issue. Box sets kind of sort of this, I guess, more sort of cost-effective way of having a Big Finish release because they don't take up too much space, but something
it's
like
streamlined it a bit more. When you have 4 stories in the space of 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas now with individual discs, you've just got one case per story.
Something like Dark Gallifrey, that's 24 individual CDs. Where am I going to put those? I've not thought about that, but that's a future me problem at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. But also, in terms of cost, Nick Briggs does make the good argument that, often, Big Finish is a luxury, and often it's people's expendable income at the end of the month. You look at it, you take out all, your necessary costs, your needs, your food, your rent, your heating, and then you've got a little bit left at the end that you want to treat yourself with, and you can't always justify a whole box set with what you have there, but people are able to budget a bit more and get everything they want. They may be spending more over time, but they can afford it in that period a bit easier. It's nice to have those different options as well, because box sets haven't gone away by any means.
Yeah, they still have a place for Big Finish.
Yeah. We've had the announcement of what's coming for the Classic Doctors in 2025, and that is a whole 15 box set bundle up for pre-order. And so, box sets certainly are still sticking around. They're not going anywhere just yet, but it's just an extra option. We've also seen other interesting changes, like Susan's War being 2-disc box sets, essentially. You've got your 2 stories in one case, as opposed to it being 4 across a box set.
I feel like that's a little bit more cheeky. For me.
I mean, you get more cover art out of it, 2 instead of 1.
I'm just thinking in terms of shelf consistency, that's going to be a bit of a... But then again, when have Big Finish ever been consistent for physical stuff? Just look at the spines of the 9th Doctor.
I mean, it does at least take up less space.
That is true.
So, that's always useful. And again, it's not quite going the full-on individual release, but it is nevertheless streamlining it a bit, making it a bit cheaper in the moment, I suppose, is the way to look at that. And certainly we're seeing it a bit more. You've got the First Doctor Unbound doing that as well.
Yes. I mean, I think the thing with that is it makes it more accessible for people because there might be one story that interests you within that box set. Be like, oh, I'm not really interested in the other 3 releases, but that one story I'm really excited to hear. So I think by doing it individually like that, you'd be like, okay, that's the one I want. I'll pick up that. So it's cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, for other Doctors and other ranges, what do you think we're going to see in the future? Do you think we're going to see more of these changes? And who do you think is going to receive those changes?
I think it will be a sort of a blended system. I think we'll probably see more special releases, be it individual, and I think I think that we'll still get the core bundle with your doctors, but I think we'll start to see sort of little mini beat series events.
I mean, we've got the Curse of Time
Yeah,
coming out at the end of this year, a fourth Doctor special that's just a 2-disc release rather than a box set.
which I think's fine. I think who would be next? I feel like when Eccleston comes round, I think he will be individual.
Yeah, I could definitely see that when he's back aboard.
It's an interesting place now because they've started to explore with the download only options like Broken Hearts. Could we be seeing like more one-off releases like that physical as well? So I think the playing fields are wide open now.
It's nice that not everything has to be a box set at this point, because it sort of felt for a while that this was all Big Finish was now. They were the box set company.
Yeah.
And, that was all well and good, but I think we were starting to hire a bit of those occasional stories that just feel like they're there
To
for the sake of padding out a box set. Yeah.
So hopefully now it kind of filters that, maybe.
Yeah, we shall see. And certainly box sets now feel like they're going for more of the one long story approach. We are
Which is
getting
great. We
more
love
of
that.
Yeah, which allows individual stories to be the more individual release sets, which I think makes sense. They've said as well that they've seen the success and the response to Sontarans versus Brutans, and more mini-series like that will be coming, which I'm excited for, because I think Sontarans versus Brutans worked brilliantly. Again, originally planned as a box set, quite a few of these were. Dark Gallifrey was originally box sets, but it was decided later on in the day to release these differently to experiment with that. And it seems it's an experiment that's paying off for Big Finish. I mean, I think Eighth Doctor could work quite well as individual releases. He's done it before.
Yeah, I
with
can see that
the
work
Eighth
quite
Doctor
well.
and Lucy Miller Adventures. So yeah, maybe that'll be the direction to take him in. I feel like Third Doctor is quite comfortable where he is.
I can't see the Third Doctor shifting to individual releases.
Yeah, because I mean, arguably they already are individual releases in a way, where they're all just one story. But it seems more recently they have been writer-led. They've been letting writers like Tim Foley really go to town on a long-form story. And it's something that seems to be paying off for them in the response, at least. Hopefully in the sales figures as well. Because releases like Friend of a Family from Diary of River Song, they deserve to be bought and listened to by as many people as possible because it's brilliant.
It had no returning element. It didn't have your Dalek slapped on the cover. Like, it just shows that you don't need the big A-listers to sell. You can have a really good story, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and hopefully, that carries on being the case. I mean, Sontarans versus Rutans, it's got the Sontarans and Rutans on there. So that's what would be selling point in itself. But also it is a brilliant set of stories. As Nick Briggs said, Dark Eyes didn't sell well because it was a box set. It sold well because it was Dark Eyes. That was an event in itself, and a very well written one at that. That's what really flourished. And it's funny looking back to that time, seeing how that was very much the explosion of the box set era. And now we're sort of getting into a new kind of era for Big Finish, where we are going back to individual releases, but in a different manner, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the return of the monthly range.
No, it's not a course correction to what we were on before. It's just, a change in the tide to something that's more balanced. I suppose. Looking forward to the future of Big Finish. I think this change is certainly working for me at the moment. I really enjoyed Sontarans vs. Rutans. Dark Gallifrey's doing a lot for me at the moment. It's nice having more individual cover art because I think that's important for the stories.
It gives stories identities,
Yeah. It's a visual aid, I suppose, for listeners. It's your window into that story. It's a bit of flavour and tone, what to expect. And, sometimes, it's what a monster looks like because
it all helps.
When it just helps give you a vibe, really, I think is the best way to describe it. The cover art is the vibe, and the more of that, the merrier. I mean, it's a shame about shelf space, but
It's a price we pay for
yeah,
glorious cover art.
it's going to be a problem one way or the other eventually.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when. Yeah, I mean, this was a little off the cuff video, sort of just chatting about an interesting topic that we've wanted to talk about for a while.
It's very curious to know what future has for Big Finish now, and I think we're gonna be looking at with all ears in a way to see what happens now.
Yeah, it's funny when a new thing gets announced. I'm so used to saying a new box set gets announced for Big Finish, but a new release gets announced now. I'll sort of look at the article and think, right, what kind of release is this now? Because when War Doctor Rises was announced, I was thinking, oh, is this individual release? And I looked at it, oh no, we've still got some box sets out there. Box sets haven't gone away entirely. Yeah, certainly some changes are in the air at Big Finish, and to me, they are welcome ones.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on individual releases. Have you been enjoying them? Are you more likely to pick up individual releases and box sets? Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Listening habits? Would you rather have an individual release and then that's you done, or do you like having that sort of box set to binge?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are some people who are less than thrilled that they had to wait the 4 months to get the whole picture of Sontarans vs. Frutons and would rather have had that, chance to just binge the whole box set and work out what was going on all in one go. But yeah, I mean, if you're one of those people, let us know how you feel about it all. Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting discussion to be had here. Yeah, so now we open it up to you in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.